We are the Plone community. We do have our wordings and everything, and we are into several kinds of fiction, fantasy, and science, technology. So we are the Plone Collective. Resistance is futile. Assimilation is inevitable. And it's all about the community thing. But, well, first, as you know, if I'm talking about movies and things, these are copy licensed work, so we have to acknowledge them, and we use it under the free fair conditions. So I'm talking a lot always about community, about things, and I don't want to sound like Vogan poetry, because saying it all again and again, it's always the thing that it sounds weird in some ears. It even makes you feel bad, because I don't know the answers. Well, we know the answer is 42, but what was the question? So I don't know the real questions we should talk about. But I know one thing, and that's language is important. And language is much, much more than just syntax and semantics. Words have special meanings. And we hear it sometimes that we talk a lot about non-violence communication and all the stuff. And language is really, really important. I don't know it in English, but there is a good German example of that. There is the word eindeutig and eineindeutig. It sounds very similar. 99% of the Germans even don't get the difference between those two words. And the best example about it is mathematical, because it's the mathematical origination. Eindeutig is all of those four meanings, because from one point you go to one defined point of the other side. Eineindeutig is only the bijunctive function on the upper left corner, because from that one point you also get to the same point back. And that's the thing about specific meanings. And if we're talking about language and perceptions, the community is also about self-perception. Because if we don't know what we mean or what we tell with our language, it makes a difference. And yeah, well, we lot play with science fiction items or quotes, especially with Star Trek and the Borg. So it's the collective. We do have this email address still, borg@plone.org. So yeah, we'll do like and are some way affiliated with the idea of the Borg, of the hive, that one-minded set. But well, is Borg really the thing we want to talk about it? So let's talk about what Borg means in the Star Trek universe and what it is. The first problem is Borgs or drones don't have a free will. Without freedom of choice, there is no creativity. And that's a problem. Assimilation. Assimilation is some kind of enslavement of other creatures, other species, other cultures. Do we really assimilate someone? And we've seen it a lot with current communication. There was the SOAP assimilation project. Did we enslave the SOAP community? No. And it's also not the thing we're doing with pylons. And there are such better ways doing it. It's also about the adaptation. So the Borg react to influences from the outside. They adapt to the energy coming in, but not on a proactive way. just on a reactive way. So a lot of drones get killed in the first place until they have adopted the shield frequencies and so on. And that's not how we do it. We are creative. We go and think about it and adapt in front of it. And there is no capability for evolution, research and development within the Borg collective. But there's also another thing. Some people think because the Borg are presented, at least in Star Trek Next Generation, as the most successful, most powerful power in the thing beside the Q continuative, it's like it's very hard to resist them. It's very hard to do something stronger. But if we look into Star Trek, there are always either a culture, a power, a species that has the possibility to fight the Borg. It's, for example, the species 8472. It's Starfleet, the Voyager, with some ideas. It's even the resistance we see on the Battle of Sector 001, where there was a collision formed with enemy cultures, enemy powers, standing together fighting the Borg. So many species and powers in the Star Trek universe, which might be a better alternative way of thinking about the Plone community. As I said, for me, the Borg collective is something where we might get addicted to some way, but that there are a lot of powers. And actually for me, it's about the values we share as a community. And if we're looking into the history of Star Trek, the founders, the humans, the Vulcans, the Andorians, the Tellarians, not started as friends. They started as opponents, as enemies. But they come together for a larger idea because of values. Because the opponents, the Romulans in that sector. And if you look over all the series in Star Trek, the Klingons were the enemy. The Romulans were the enemy. The Cardassian, the Dominion. But at some point they all find together and share a larger idea, a larger point of view and meaning. And that's also applying to us. We do work together with the Zope community. We do have a lot of common with the Pylons community. We share the same values. Even with other content management systems like WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, and so on, we do work together in the CMS Garden project. They are not our enemies. We learn from them. We share the same mindset because it's about the users. It's about creating fantastic websites for content consumers. And that's a thing. So yeah, it's all about values. And the most important values for me, it's respect and the spirit of innovations. And especially a free choice of membership. If you want to become a member of the Plone Foundation, you apply for it because you share the values. You're not enslaved. You're not assimilated. It's about the thing that you decide on your own, that you want to be part of it. And that's why I said I'm really glad that the Zope Foundation decided to become part of this Plone family. I'm still really thinking that the Pylons community at some point will see that Plone is the right choice for being part of it, and that we live together. And for me, it's the Python word at all is like the Federation of Planets. There are so many different aspects, so many different things. Your colony is one planet. It's either data science world, it's the operation staff. It's all the different ways in the Python community. And the people that explore the outside, it's like the Starfleet. And we are like part of Starfleet. And it's a peaceful exploration. No violent expansion. It's collaboration. It's friendship. And Plone, for me, is like a flagship because all the good people want to be on that one ship. They all want to work together on it. And the thing about the flagship is it's a mind share. We all see the same values, we all see the same mission, and we join and work on that. And it's all about the crew. And that's the one thing I don't like on presenting the slides. There is no picture of the whole enterprise crew. It's not only the bridge crew, it's the whole people. It's the people in the machine room, it's the people at the medical deck, it's the people at the transporter room, and it's all them together that make that ship be the best out there. And it's all about the Plone community. It's great knowledge, experience, a spirit of innovations, and the good vibrations that keep me in that community and want to be part of it. And there's also the thing that people are different. We are not the Borg. We are individuals. We are very different individuals. We do have different backgrounds, different knowledge, different beliefs, different way of life and sexual orientations. And that doesn't matter at all. Some of us are anxious, some are in some way aggressive even sometimes. Hey, that doesn't matter. Everyone is important and everyone is a welcome member. So if you know Star Trek, you know probably Reginald Berkeley. He's probably not the most comfortable person. He has anxious, he has so many weird ideas, but he has spirit and he has knowledge that helps the people. He was the one at Starfleet getting the communication with Voyager up. On the other side, it's Ren, a very aggressive person, but he shared mindset that helping forming the Federation, and that's all about it. And the Vulcans have one sign. It's infinite diversity in infinite combinations. That makes them stronger. And that's part of us. And on the other hand, what I said with aggressions, yeah, you sometimes can have aggressions, but it's the discipline inside of you that keeps it in a way that you are accepted in the community. But if we would take all those energies out of you, your aggressions, your anxious, the things that makes you special, then you're like a drone. You're nothing special anymore. You don't give something new. It's the thing that leadership comes from what's inside you, with all the spirits, all the energy. And, well, it's all about also change. And change does not happen on its own. Change or things are made to happen. And it is a kind of leadership. And leadership is not about being able to perform everything on your own. It's about giving a vision. That was what I liked yesterday from Eric Broholt's lightning talk, saying everybody can submit a plip. There, you will always find someone in the Star Trek term in the red at TOTS or the yellow uniform at TNG that will make it happen. Because engineering always find a way to get the things done. They always find a way that it can happen. And change is the essential process of all existence. If we are not addicted to change, we stay the same, we don't evolve. But I experience one strong thing always outside the community is that's anxious about change. The people don't like change. And one of my personal heroes is Grace Hopper. And she always said, humans are allergic to change. They tend to say, we have always done it this way. And you have to fight it. Take the anxious away. It's not a thing for us. We want to build a future. And the best way to predict the future is to build it. And there's a very essential thing in there. Any intelligent fool can build things bigger, can make it more complex. But it takes a genius to reduce the complexity, to hide it, to go in the opposite direction. That's what I always feel here in the community. We have a lot of people, and that's what I always saw about the vision of Plone, to empower users, making it, hiding the complexity, make it easy to contribute content into a website or to adapt to a specific use case. And it's always time to improve the community or the technologies. And there are things we should change and adopt. And one of the highest things I always say is there is a high priority, and that is to accept that we can't do everything. We should prioritize. And the first thing is there is a lot we don't need to do on our own. The energy we are forced to invest in unnecessary action can't be used for production development. We do have infrastructure liabilities. If we can get rid of that, better. We can focus on better things. We don't need to maintain deprecated, unnecessary packages if we don't need them anymore. And one of the key in Star Trek and in all the other things is about standardization. If we can document things, we can have a mindset for standardization. We share the same ideas, the same knowledge. And it's about explicit knowledge. We have to document our processes. Because then people that are not that creative can also join in and do some of the maybe boring stuff, but also the stuff that needs to be done. And it's all about a measurable quality we get as a community. There is something like the capability maturity model integration that says every community, every technology, every company has a level where they are in, and you rise with the quality and you're going into optimization. That's also a thing we do. But sometimes it feels like we're too busy to improve because Python 3, for example, we have to move. But did we really move our front end in some place? We heard yesterday the complaints. Barceloneta looks the same like 5 years ago. Yes, Volto is done or is on progress, but it isn't shipped now. So yeah, there are good examples. The AI team has finally switched off SVN Plone.org, and everything is on GitHub that it is necessary. And that's a fantastic work. There are a lot of technologies, and as I thought about the talk, it was like, is there something I want to talk especially? I said it in the talk description, there is a lot of technologies I think we can get rid of. And there's think of standardization tools to move into, but I don't want to talk into detail about that. I want to talk about other things, and it's also like the hype cycle. Technologies have a hype cycle. You raise an inflated inspection. You go over the theaters of um, the thoughts of the illusions, and technologies can die at every point into that thing. But most of the stuff we have worked in Plone goes into the plateau of production. And the more things we have in there, the more value we sell with our product. The problem is, as always, we are innovative. There is this chasm of innovation. If you can't move over it, there is no adaptation of that in the wide community. But we also can adapt other technologies from the outside and move it into something workable. So I always tend to say, people, you're afraid of change? No, don't. Don't panic. Just know where your towel is. Because, hey, every change is a new opportunity where you go in. There always opens a new door, and it always helps you. So, from my point, it's back to leadership. And leadership is one special thing. Because we do, as the Plone community, as the Plone Foundation, have people. And sometimes, at least the last 2 years, I feel something, there is special things we should care about. And I want to say it how I felt in the last few years, because it's sometimes the thing about commitment, obligation, and duty. The need of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the ones. People sacrifice themselves for the larger view, for the larger point. And as is in Star Trek, we not have the possibility to get Spock back out of the death. So we need to care about them. And open source and community is a long-term involvement. It's like a 5-year missions out in outer space. It sometimes get boring. It sometimes get conflicted. But we all want to bring the people back in, back home, so that they feel still and want to go on the next mission with us. Well, but sometimes you get depressed, you get mad, and I felt like hell, more like Marvin. It was really like 6 years on the board. I didn't use Plone on other things than fun projects for me. I never earned a living out of Plone. I was 3 years the vice president of the foundation, and in the 6 years on the board, I never missed any meeting. Never. And it was like I really got in time for the meeting back out of the emergency room because my ear was bleeding. It was during my time on parental leave in Japan. The board meetings were at 3 a.m. in the morning. And it was even during the time where my sister and my mother died. I also attended the meeting because I feel it was like not only an honor to be on the board, but also an obligation. So if you serve, you have to do the stuff. And that's sometimes not healthy. So sometimes there are signs that you need a break. And you should also look at the persons around you. People sometimes need a break. They should take care of themselves and take a break. Because if they do, and they feel that we care about them, they come back afterwards when they feel better, if they're healthy again. So please, don't feel sad, don't get depressed when you're not feeling the energy anymore. Take a break, take all the time you need. It's like, I haven't seen Massimo for long years, but he's here, and it's like all some others. So I said, saw today Mauricio Del Monte and some others will be there for the party tonight. And that's awesome. Yeah. Open source projects are voluntary work. a lot of voluntary work. And the problem is, if all your work is voluntary, there is no security net. There's no leadership that said, now you go on holiday and relax. Step back off the computer, doing nothing. Just become healthy again. And I want you as a community to take care of each other, because it's important to do that. I don't want to see people break down. And that's one thing. And the other thing of leadership is to give acknowledgement. And there are lots of people. And the one thing that makes Plone so special is there are no rock stars. It's the community at all that work together and make things happen. So I want to thank all the people that worked on Python 3 stuff to get Plone happens on that. I want to thank all the people working on Volto, because that's the new vision, the new thing to do. I want to thank all the people on the framework team discussing all the new ideas, what Plone could become. I want to thank the admin and infrastructure team for doing the stuff, because that's not the product Plone. It's all the things around, and they are necessary. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I want to thank the security team. And 6 years on the board, there was a lot. I want to thank you special also to the people on the Plone Foundation Board of Directors, because the picture on the backside says it right. It's all I was and always will be your friend. It's a matter of things where we come together and see each other. Those are the people I have served with, and I made up a statistic how many people have been on the board and how many terms they served. And it's a fantastic thing to see. 43 people have served the foundation, served the community with all the stuff. And there are all the names on. Thank you all for your service for that. And board work can sometimes be hard. You have to discuss things that are really, really weird. So it's open source is an obligation, and it sometimes could be really hard obligation. You have heard about the Trollus event? Who of you think about that this could be a legal issue? There is in the German criminal code a thing called computer sabotage. So if somebody harm a different deployment by doing something and removing a package from a package manager so that the deployment can't be rebuilt, it is sabotage. So that's the thing where you can get 5 or even 10 years into jail for something like that. So if you start doing work like that, it could be worse. So there is an obligation you have done with contributing to open source. And I want to please you all. Don't do the mistake if you're feeling depressed, feeling weird, aggressive, because someone complaining at you, there is an error in your code, please fix it for me, for free, for everything. Yes, you have the right to say, no, I don't want, or you have to pay me for that. But you should never get you into trouble by deleting your own code, deleting the packages you have released on a public manager. Communicate about it. Communicate that the package is unmaintained. Documentate that there won't be any fixes, but don't get you into trouble. And for me, yeah, I said I need a break. So it's time for me to be a bit more off to new shores. But there's one thing I've heard and seen in the community. And Lawrence Rowe said it perfectly in Sorrento one year. You can take the man out of Plone, but you can't take the Plone out of the man. So Live long and prosper.
It's been a
Thank you.
really nice talk for me. Okay, few questions. No, it's okay, it's okay. It's up to you.
Erstmal, Tlingen Pong Lo Na. Okay.
Kapla.
So we basically agreed on that. There are two things. First question is, of course, naming is hard. And I can barely remember when Collective came and we had Borg and so on. But at a certain point, I remember a package that was, I don't remember if it was Collective MILF or Collective What the Fuck, WTF, something, that the community came up and said, okay, that's too much and we need to change. So, first question is where the foundation kind of steps in and try to direct these kind of mistakes because they could be enforced by the code of conduct. One. And the second question is you talked about burnout and we saw that happening many times in the community. We had many people that basically at some point, okay, how can we as the foundation help people to not get into that stage?
About naming and everything, yes. It's always the weird situation that we do have come up with weird names that are not the nicest thing on the block, and so, and the easiest way of is talking with the people, make them understand what that means. And I couldn't remember one point where we as the community or the foundation board has to force someone to change the name. It's always, if they understand what you're talking about, they acknowledge it and they change it on their own. And that's a nice thing because it's not the conflict. So you don't have to overrule someone. The other thing is giving people the possibility of break, giving the possibility of acknowledgement, help, a helping hand, talking with them. Even just saying, you're welcome to join the party, you don't need to give a talk, you don't need to contribute code or anything, helps. And it was, for me, in Barcelona especially, the people are the old people of the community, the people that came back because they still feel the energy and so on being there. And that's all about it. It's Plone is a family. It's much more than a product. It's the family. And a family can join together just being friendly to each other, going for a drink, going for a talk, going for a walk together, being there, being open, inviting them. And that's the thing. It's taking care of each other. And that's the most important thing. Nick?
Yes, Plone is a family, and a lot of people come to Plone conference, just to meet friends over the years. I'm myself the same. And now with, Zope under Plone Foundation and Guillotina under Plone Foundation, maybe at some point Pyramid under Plone Foundation, should Plone Foundation be renamed to something else so it doesn't feel like Plone the software is a first-class citizen and everybody else is a second-class citizen in the foundation or in the community and the conference?
Actually, it was funny yesterday for me because on the first day of the conferences, I really, at the end, get sad and angry. And yesterday I had some kind of enlightenment or feeling of enlightenment. Plone, for me, especially, was always much more a vision than the product. And seeing yesterday the description of Victor, of Timo and so on is actually the vision lives now more in Volto and some things, and Plone is much, all the stuff we have talking about what Plone is actually more on the ZOAP, on the CMF layer and so on. So I think in some place or some way in 1 or 2 years, Plone, as the name Plone for the product, will be gone because Volto has replaced it in the way. But the foundation, it's the vision behind Plone, and the vision is to empower users, to give them a way to enable things. And I think that's the thing we all want to do. It doesn't matter if it's with Zope, it doesn't matter if it's with Guillotina, with Pylons, with Pyramid, or something else. That's the thing. And it's like others groups. The name of the foundation can stay the same when the product is not the most dominant thing. And I think that will happen in the next few years. Does that answer your question? Yes. Thank you. Anybody else? Then thank you all for your contribution to Plone and those fantastic family.
Thank you.